Hi, welcome to the Victory Church Weekly Podcast. Today I have with me a very special guest for our first interview. This is one of the new segments that we're going to be doing where we'll be reaching out to pastor friends and just different ministry people that we know and interviewing them, getting to know their story and seeing what they're about. So today I have with me Beth Mull from Love Life. She is the city director over the Triangle region. So Beth, I'm just going to introduce you real quick. So you began as an outreach coordinator for a local church and ended up getting involved kind of hesitantly with Love Life. So I'll have you share that story a little bit later. But you've mentioned that one of the things that you love is getting to work with local ministries and bringing the body of Christ together over a very important issue. Mm-hmm. So before we get started, I want to give you a gift that we have. This is something that we're going to be doing with our guests. Just as a thank you for your time and just a token of appreciation for speaking with us. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that what they were saying, I think somebody was stalking your Facebook. They saw that you like movies and having movie nights, so it's like a movie night themed.
Yes, thank you.
So it's got some cool stuff in there. So Beth, we'll just jump right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before you got involved with Love Life?
Yeah. So I am a mother. I have 4 kids. And prior to getting involved with Love Life, I was the local missions director of a local church here in Raleigh. And my main role really was to help Christians get involved or to use their gifts in different ministries. So I had a lot of experience with different local ministries and what everybody did in the community. And then our church had about 3,000 people. So my goal was to get all of those people mobilized outside of the church walls. So I did that for 11 years and I loved it. I worked part-time, still able to be with my kids. And while they were at school, I worked. And it was just an amazing experience. I loved working at our church and with the pastors and with leaders and with the community. So that's, what I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah. Wow. So before you got involved with Love Life, what, I guess kind of where were you at with your stance, with your involvement and just your passion for the pro-life movement?
Yeah. I would say that I was just, not terribly interested in it. Okay. I grew up a Christian, so obviously pro-life, but I also, walked away from the Lord, lived the secular life for years. I didn't really care about this issue. I didn't really know a lot of people that, talked about it. It just wasn't really talked about. And in our church, growing up, we didn't hear Sanctity of Life sermons, so it just really wasn't on my mind. Yeah. And so I would say that I would vote pro-life, and then my husband and I gave to a pregnancy center. We went to one of those dinners and we started giving monthly to a pregnancy center. Mm-hmm. But it just wasn't a major thing for me, something that I focused on.
Wow. So take us into your involvement with Love Life. How did you end up getting passionate about saving lives?
Yeah. So when I was the local mission director, I had a church member come to me, and she was like, Love Life starting, this would have been in probably 2018. She's like, Love Life starting here. And she had gotten really involved through Steve Noble. He's a very outspoken podcaster and radio talk show host and stuff about especially pro-life issues. So she had learned about it. And so she would come to my office and be like, I really want you to come to a walk. And I was like, I don't really think I'm interested in that. Yeah. And for years she tried to get me there and I was like, I just really don't want to go, but I'll send it out to other people who might be interested. And so it just took a couple years of her kind of pestering me. And so it was on my mind. But then I started listening to a podcast called The World and Everything in It. And it's a podcast about really what's going on politically in our world, but it's from a biblical worldview. Well, they would have pieces on the life issues, pro-life ministries, the laws, people getting arrested, all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, this is kind of interesting. And I really started zoning into those pieces. And I felt like the Lord was like, pulling my heart toward that part of the ministry. But I was really unsure, and so I started kind of like looking up like jobs. I was very happy in my job at Providence, but then I started kind of feeling like I wanted to get involved with the pro-life ministry. So I started looking at like pregnancy centers and kind of what those jobs would look like. They didn't really look like they would fit my personality and kind of my gifts. And so I was like, I don't think I would do that. And then I remembered Love Life, and it was really crazy. I was actually on vacation. I was praying about moving from my job. I kind of felt that restlessness. And I was on vacation. I was at the beach. I was at Atlantic Beach. I was really spent the week praying, like, God, what do you want from me? I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And so we're about to leave, and we took one more walk on the beach, and I see this pastor. He's wearing a Love Life shirt, a Love Life Raleigh shirt. And I was like, whoa. And so I stop him. I say, tell me about Love Life. I've heard about it in Raleigh. And he said, yeah, I'm a Love Life partnering pastor. It's amazing we do these prayer walks. And so I was like, okay, Lord. I was like, okay, you want me to go check it out. So I decided to check it out. I went to a walk. At the time, John Manchukwu was running it. He's a pretty famous guy. Now, nationally, he speaks at school boards about books and stuff. But he was running it. And so the first time I went to a walk, there were about 20 people there, 20 Christians. And John is amazing. But he was a little more like aggressive than like I was comfortable with. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of scary,
Yeah.
But I mean, what he was saying was true. And he is a black man, and their church feels like they are trying to save the black race. So 66% of the babies that are killed at the abortion center we go to are black. So there's a little more passion, urgency, because his church feels, they're trying to save the black race, basically.
Sure.
And it is a black genocide. So that's a side note. But anyways, so he was a little bit more aggressive. So when I left with my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this job. Like, I can't be involved with this. And he was like, oh, I think you should. Like, I think you should do this. Because John was getting ready to move out, and he was moving on to the national stage. And so I went online, and I looked up jobs with Love Life, and there was the city director. And every single part of the job description fit my skill set.
Yeah.
And I showed my husband, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think God wants me to do this. And he said, yeah, I think so too. And he was like, it's a Jonah moment. Like, if you don't do this, Beth, God's going to send a fish and swallow you up. So go ahead and do it. So it was kind of awesome the way it all came to be. So I was definitely nervous. I was nervous about the whole landscape of going to an abortion center. I was just nervous about the whole thing. But it was clear as, like God does. It was so clear that he wanted me to take that job. And so I did.
Wow. So, I followed John for a little while. And
Yeah, I
he's
followed him.
definitely great at what he's doing now at the school board meetings, but I could see that being intimidating.
Yeah.
For
He's
you.
incredible on
Yeah.
the sidewalks. I mean,
Yeah.
because he addresses the men, which I know we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
the male piece. And he, I think he's like over 200 pounds,
Yeah.
all muscle, six something,
will
six,
get
is he
your
6'7"? He's very tall and commanding, presence. And he's done a lot. Their church, the Upper Room Church of God in Christ, have saved probably thousands of babies. They've been out there 15 years. So,
Wow.
but I knew I couldn't fill his shoes. I was like, I'm 5'3", and a little white girl, and I'm not going to be able to fill these shoes of John Manchukwu. And they were like, it's fine. You'll make it your own. We're not looking for a clone of John. We're looking for the right person to take this job.
Yeah.
So,
I think you've done a great job,
Thank
just
you.
from what I've seen, the few walks that I've been on.
yes.
So I want to rewind a second, because you said that it was the podcast that you're listening to that really piqued your interest in into pro-life. And what was there something particular in there that really like tugged on your heart, or was it just listening to the messages as a whole?
Yeah, at that time, we were under the Biden administration, and there was a lot of warfare against pro-lifers.
Yeah.
So they put many pro-lifers in jail during those 4 years. And prior to that, under the other administration, there was a lot going on. So there was a lot. I'm kind of an edgy person. I'm a frontlines person. I'm just, I don't like conflict, but I feel like I'm good in a crisis. And so I was attracted to all of the pro-lifers that had a great courage, that were, despite like bubble zones and really harsh laws against pro-lifers, they were still going out and still standing there for babies. So that's what really attracted me, is kind of the edginess of, being bold for Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm almost 50, and like, I don't care what people think about me now. Like, I love Jesus. I'm going to say it. I'm not as nervous about being canceled or any of that. I'm just more like, I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose to fight for the Lord, And so that kind of was pulling out with those pieces of like, people that were in, going to jail or having legal issues. I was like, man, I want to be on the front lines for Jesus. Like, I don't want to be just at my house all comfortable. Following Jesus, it's risky. And I liked that. I'm a bit of a risk taker. So that was very attractive to me. Not that I particularly wanted to run out on the streets and get arrested, that kind of stuff, but I wanted to be on the edge. I wanted to be where the culture is clashing, and be on the righteous side, the side of Christ.
Yeah,
So.
I think that it's easy to get wrapped up in just the comfort of life. And
Yes.
so, but I think that there's also a desire for us to do something that matters.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people now are starting to experience that, because I think as a society, we're more comfortable than we've ever been before.
Yes.
So
we
I think
our simple pleasures. And I do too. But, and I used to sit on the back porch on Saturday mornings with coffee with my husband and just relax. And now I go to an abortion center. And it's like, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. Like when I'm retired and I'm like old and I can't walk, I'll do that. Like I'll have coffee on the porch. But like while I'm able-bodied and young and have the energy and the passion, I'm gonna do things that make a difference for God.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about some of the misconceptions that you had before you got involved with Love Life.
Yeah. So most of what you see prior to coming out with Love Life is, the abortion center can be like the wild, wild west. It's, it can be a little frightening. And a lot of it is what you see on YouTube. So you'll see the pro-abortion advocates. You'll see, the Catholics praying the rosary. You'll see fringe people who are screaming and like, you're a murderer and you're horrible, that kind of stuff. You'll see signs. And so what you see on YouTube, it's like intimidating, and I tell churches when I'm trying to recruit them and when I'm encouraging Christians to come, it isn't like feeding the homeless or putting a coat on a cold child. Those are good things, but it's different. Like you are going to battle spiritually when you go to an abortion center. It is the devil's playground. So it's a little bit scary. So I had those same nerves. Actually, the first time I went, I was incredibly nervous. Like, I held my husband's hand, like, gripping it tightly the whole time. Like, oh, my gosh. You're watching people go in and kill their baby. Like, it wrecks you emotionally. So, I didn't want to be around that. I was like, I don't want to be around people like that. I don't want to go head to head with a pro-abortion person. I wasn't really equipped. So if I did say something to somebody, it probably would have come out badly, and then you can be on video and all sorts of stuff. So it's I just didn't want to be there. I was like, no, and so I think a lot of people are nervous. And back then, we only had sometimes 11 people or 20 people, and now our average is about 250 people. So it's a whole different feel now, because you have like an army for Christ compared to, pro-abortion people might have 15 out there. Well, you have 250, and you have Jesus. So it's like you don't feel as afraid. But there is fear, and I understand that. Getting people out for their first time, can be hard. It's just really hard. So I have to do a lot of encouraging people, like, you can come. It's a peaceful prayer walk. So, and the misconceptions or the thoughts that you have, some are true. You will see things that you don't like there. The first time my daughter came, she was 8. She was scared to death. And I saw her over at the tree. She was pale as a ghost. And a pro-abort had flipped her off. Well, she's not used to that. She goes to Christian school, and she's at a church all the time. And we have tons of Christian friends. And she was like, oh my gosh, somebody flipped me off, And I was like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but that's, there are Christians in other countries that are dying for Jesus. Like, you can get flipped off, you're going to be okay, But you'll see things, you'll hear bad words, all sorts of stuff.
Sure.
So those are the things people are afraid of. But that is why we have to pray. Like, and today is our pray and fast day of our adoption week. You have to pray before you go out there.
That's right.
You have to pray for courage and boldness and strength. And so that's why it's crucial to pray on Wednesdays so we prepare to go to the face of the darkness. Yeah. Like, it is darkness. We're bringing the light of Christ, and we're going to the darkest place of our city. So that's why we emphasize the pre-pray. I always say we got to pre-pray before we go pray.
That's right. Yeah, we actually, as a worship team, we spent the night last night. It was a rehearsal night. We spent some time praying for it.
Awesome.
It's so powerful.
Yes.
But it's funny, you mentioned media and the videos that you could end up on a video.
Yeah.
I think it was one of our first prayer walks as a church. I was scrolling social media like a week after, and I have I guess somebody on my Facebook page. I don't even remember who it was, but they were definitely pro-abortion.
Yeah.
And they had shared a video about it was from a local news channel.
Oh, yeah.
About how a large group of protesters.
We were on the news that first year. It's a badge of honor.
Yeah, so I saw that. I'm thinking, like, I was there. That's not at all what it was like.
Oh, I
they
know.
were great at taking that video and really misconstruing it.
Yes, I remember.
But you're
that.
right. It's peaceful. You're just there to pray. You're not there to engage and talk to anybody. And I think that's a misconception a lot of people have. In fact, somebody I knew at the time, she was wanting to get involved with the church, and I'd mentioned that, and she's like, "No, I'm not a protester. I'm not going to do that." I'm like, well,
that's Satan's schemes to call us harassers, protesters. Yeah. And women choose life because they see us praying for them. Yeah. Imagine if you were a stranger, you're away from God, and you see 200. You ride up to go to a procedure. Like an abortion, and you see 250 Christians praying for you. Like, that makes a big impact.
Yeah.
So it's a peaceful prayer walk, but the media, uses all sorts of things. We're harassers, and we hate women and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's just a way to keep Christians to not come. Like, it really is a way, when you say it's a political thing, we're harassing people, it keeps Christians out of the public square. Yeah. And what we're trying to say is Christians have to be in the public square. We have to, because we change culture.
That's right.
We do. Culture will follow. Politicians will follow our lead. So if we're out there and we're fighting for little innocent lives and we are unafraid, we will change culture, and that's what we want to do.
Wow. That's so right. So I know we're going to have some listeners that don't know anything about Love Life. Can you explain it to them, to those people that don't know anything?
Yes. So our mission and vision is to mobilize the evangelical church to create a culture of love and life that will end the abortion and the orphan care crisis. The way that we do this is through monthly prayer walks. These are catalyst moments. We ask churches like your church, like Victory, we ask the pastor, to lead his church out to pray, to come to a peaceful prayer walk or a peaceful prayer journey, to come and pray for the end of abortion. So we actually don't want you to reach out. You're actually going to commit that you won't reach out when you come. We want you to come and pray, because we are really the prayer support of all of our outreach team. So that prayer, and like I said, when we actually show up, it changes people's minds. We don't even have to say anything to the moms and dads. We can just be there praying, and women will choose life. Families will change their minds. So we're trying to bring Christians out to the darkest place of our city to pray for the end of abortion. At the end of the prayer walk, my job is to connect your people and the people of God to ongoing ministry. And that looks different for everybody. What is God calling you to do? You can come out and pray every month with us, which actually you guys have some very committed people that come out monthly. They're committed. They come out and pray every single month with Love Life. You can join our volunteer team. We have several people that volunteer with us, help with T-shirts, setup, breakdown, the whole making sure everything goes well, the prayer journey. And then you can also be a mentor to a mom who chooses life. You can do the sidewalks. That's going to be your people who just love evangelism. They're super brave. They don't mind talking to a stranger about God and sharing the gospel and helping moms choose life. That you need the most training for, because it is, that one-on-one piece, and we want to make sure people are kind of doing things our way. And then you can also get healing through Restored Life, which is a post-abortive Bible study. So 54% of women say they're Christian who have an abortion. So we know this is not just a secular issue. This is happening in our churches. And so we want people to get free from their past abortion. Yeah. And then we want them to join our team, reach out to moms, and we want to activate them in ministry. Because we know people who've had abortions know what it really does to your soul and your life. It changes your life forever. And we want them to be able to share with moms, hey, I've been in your situation. I understand why you're here. Choose life. Choose life for your baby. You won't regret it. So we want to activate and use everybody, even if they have abortion in their past. So those are the ways you can be involved with us. And then the foster care, we try to get Christian families foster care certified and into adoption programs as well.
Yeah, I love that. So you really hit all aspects of this issue.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I've heard a lot of criticism from the left about. Is that, well, you all only care up until the baby's born, what about resources for the families? And,
right.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I mean, when they say that to me, that's a lie. I mean, Christians adopt, and a lot of times they'll say, why, you care so much about the unborn baby, what about all the other children? Christians do foster care. Christians take in children of family members. I think the first orphanage ever established was by a Christian. Like, it's just a lie that we don't care. And it's also a red herring, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be speaking up for the unborn if you don't foster a child. And it's like, no, I can care about both. And actually, when I considered, one of the things I was praying about before I took this job was doing foster care. Of course, my husband had to be on board with that. And he was like, we have 4 kids. They're about to leave. Like, why do you want more kids here? Like, we're launching kids. Stop wanting more kids in here. But I was thinking about that. Those were the 2 things, like pro-life or foster care. Which way does God want me to go? And he pointed me to Love Life. And so this is my main mission, is to save little babies from being aborted. And that's okay. It can be my main thing. I don't have to do everything, right? Like, so it's kind of a red herring, like you don't care about kids if you're not fostering and you only care about it. It's not true. Well, Christians care about all the issues.
Yeah, that's what I love about how you guys connect the whole body of Christ, because you are connecting people who might be more passionate about the adoption or foster care side of things. Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of helping, I think, 2 adoptions since I started, and one was last year, and one was of 5 girls whose mom was in a rescue mission.
Wow.
So this family adopted one of them, and now they're adopting the rest of them. So they'll have 5 girls.
That's
adopted.
so awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I love that.
So, yeah.
So you had made a mention of it's not a political thing. Can you elaborate more on that? When you say that Love Life isn't a political thing, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I would say that we believe the church will end abortion, not politicians. A lot of people believe we have to vote in the right people to end abortion. And yes, we do want godly politicians. And we want pro-life ones that actually get into their positions and then actually do pro-life laws, but they tend to not. Like, you can have a super pro-life senator and they run on pro-life issues, and then they get in there, and we had the opportunity to go from 20 weeks, I think it was in 2022, down to a heartbeat law, and the Republicans wouldn't do it. And I went around talking to them, like, we want a heartbeat law like Florida. Like, because a heartbeat law is 5 weeks, which is basically you don't know you're pregnant till 5 weeks. So it basically is an end to abortion in your state. Well, they would not do it. They were like, well, we're comfortable with moving down to 12 weeks. And I'm like, you have the chance to get enough votes to be a life state, and they wouldn't do it. And it's like, we just can't wait on them to do it.
Right.
It's not that there are very ethical politicians, and we've tried to get several in political positions that are super pro-life. It's just, I feel like when they get in there, they don't really keep their word. And so, I just think we're not about the politics. I love politics. I follow politics. I vote a lot. I canvass for politicians, but that I love. But we really feel like we're a church mobilization. Like, we got to get God's people mobilized. Most Christians do not think about this issue. They might write a check to a pro-life organization, or they would say, I'm pro-life, but they don't understand what's actually happening. They don't know where the abortion centers are. They've never done anything with the life issue. And we want them activated, and then they'll be more likely to activate in all areas on all the culture wars, right? And so we just feel like we don't go out and talk all about all the different politicians. I do encourage Christians to vote. I'm like, you need to vote for pro-life, godly people,
That's right.
But we don't spend our whole time on all of the legal stuff.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I think that if Christians are getting involved with this and it starts to become a burden on their heart, I think the voting side of that's probably going to come naturally.
It does take care of themselves. Christians do stay home from voting. So it's so we encourage it for sure. But we do believe God's people will end abortion.
Yeah. I like that you put such an emphasis on the local church.
Yes.
What do you think that the church has done really well as far as the abortion issue goes?
Christians take care of orphans. They love children.
Yeah.
And we believe in traditional marriage and, in men being leaders, protectors, providers. So that is all very pro-life.
Yeah.
Christians want to adopt. When I have moms who need help, like with their kids on the weekends who've chosen life, and I put it out to my network, hey, this mom needs a break. Could somebody watch our kids all weekend, like them spend the night with you?
Yeah.
They're like, yes. I have people like beating down my door, like, we love children.
Yeah, I don't
We
know
are
the
pro-life.
statistic, but Christians are by far the highest percentage of people that adopt and that do things like that.
Yes, and they give generosity. So Christians are very generous to the cause. We just bought a car for a mom because people are generous to Love Life.
Wow.
And if we have the money, we buy them cars or whatever they need. She needed to get to work, and then she took the kids to church. The first week she had a car.
Wow.
So Christians are very generous. And then we have about 74 churches that walk with us. And the pastors of these churches that partner with us are incredible. They love the Lord so much. And it warms my heart. Because you get in your Christian bubble, like you're at your church all the time and you just see the Christians around you. You don't realize how many Christians in the triangle just love God so much and will do anything to save a baby, to share the gospel. So it's so encouraging. So when people say things like, well, the church doesn't care and Christians don't care and they're hypocrites, it is not true. There are hypocrites. Of course, we are all sinners. But the churches that I interact with and, I partner with and that partner with us, oh my goodness, these pastors, these Christians are amazing. And they've become my family. Like, I see 4,000 Christians a year. And I mean, that is incredible.
For little old Raleigh.
I get to interact and see. I don't get to say hey to everybody, but 4,000 Christians mobilized because they love God so much and they were brave and bold and came out to pray at an abortion center. So it's so encouraging. So that's what I see. I try not to focus on the rejection, I get, because a lot of pastors aren't ready. It's not that they're not pro-life, but they're not ready to partner with us, to be on the front lines, to get your pictures taken and get on a pro-abortion website as a hater. They're not ready for it. And you do need to be ready for that because any of that can happen. And so it takes time for people to come along.
What do you think causes that hesitancy?
I think it's just drama. Like as a
Okay.
pastor, you already have a lot. You're doing in-reach, outreach, you're discipling, you're meeting with couples whose marriages are falling apart. You're meeting with people who have mental problems and stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot. Like I worked for a church for 11 years. I know that it's hard to be a pastor. And I know also you can get burned by ministries, who take advantage of you or take advantage of your church. So I kind of know a lot of the inside scoop from being
Sure.
in ministry so long. And so when a pastor says, no, I can't do it, I don't receive no very well. So I'm always like, not yet. No for now,
Sure.
but you're not ready yet. That's why I keep pursuing them. Like I just got a pastor this morning I've been pursuing since I started, the first year I started. And it's like God's timing is perfect. And he's like, yes, I want to get involved. Well, he had a lot going on, older parents, and then everybody, a lot of the pastors, not everybody have children, and they want to go to softball on Saturday morning. I mean, there's a lot of life that happens.
Yeah.
I've had a few pastors that are like, no, because they're pro-choice and it's between the woman and God if they get an abortion. That's always an interesting email correspondence because I don't take that. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm going to push back on that one.
Yeah.
But the pro-life pastors in our area, they just love the Lord and they're all in. And
Yeah.
it's a pleasure. Like, I
Sure.
love working with them.
So to the pastor that's maybe afraid of the drama,
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
Well, there's a scripture about how we're blessed, right? We're blessed when we're persecuted.
Yeah.
And so, it is hard to go down there. You will feel spiritual warfare. I had a pastor who spoke on life, and one of his church members flipped him off in the middle of his life message and walked out.
Wow.
Yeah. There are people in our churches that are pro-choice because they believe the lies, or maybe nobody's really done a sanctity of life message. They don't really know, right? Or they have had an abortion and they have a lot of wounds. And so when you speak on the abortion issue, you're going to get emails on Monday morning. And I just think pastors are like, I already get 20 emails. I don't want another 50, about the message. So I would just say that it's worth it. It's worth it because there's so much fruit. Lots of people through the Sanctity of Life message and then talking about the tragic truth of abortion in our city, they also will come forward and thank you. They will thank you for speaking on life. They will cry on your shoulder. I have this all the time after a presentation and say, I had an abortion 40 years ago and I've been living with shame for 40 years. And then I get to say, well, I want you to get in restored life. God wants to use you, but you've got to get free of it first.
Right.
So a lot of it is they're worried to lose people. I believe the churches that partner with us are growing.
Yeah,
because they want to hear the truth.
I've got some friends that go to a church down in Texas. They've grown really fast, and I've seen where witches have done animal sacrifices in their parking lot.
Oh yeah.
Crazy as that sounds, we don't
Because
see
they're
that around
pro-life.
here. Because they're pro-life, because they're vocal about other
Yes.
issues that are political but really
Yes.
spiritual.
Yes.
I've watched their reviews on Google and Facebook go down
Yes.
fast.
Oh, that has happened to us. Actually, the pro-aborts ganged up and they gave Love Life like a 1 rating. And anyways, but you put it out to your people and they'll all go on and do 5 ratings.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Since that happened, they had one campus.
Yeah.
Their reviews went down. That's when they had the sacrifices. And now, they've really doubled down on a lot of these
Yeah.
things. Very pro-life. And the more they've spoken out about that, now they're at, 10, 11 campuses or something
Yes.
like that in just 5 years.
I know. I tell the pastors,
Yeah.
the churches that partner with us, they're all growing.
Right.
And it's like, I think there are people that will be upset by the message, but then you know who to go talk to.
Yeah.
Then oh, this person really needs to hash this out with me, and we need to go through the scriptures, about life in the Bible, and then you know how to disciple that person. Right. So I always see it as an opportunity.
And I think when a pastor says yes to something like that, it's not just about the pastor in that church, but the members of the congregation that are looking for a place that they can make a difference they're
Yes.
making a space for that. Like,
Yes.
you're equipping your people better when you give a yes to something like
Yeah.
that.
And like we talked about yesterday, we want to equip people. We want them to have confidence. So that's why we train. We go through the tragic truth of abortion. We go through what's going on. We have 350 abortions in the triangle each week. We want people to know the facts. And then we want them to see it. Like, the reality, and you've been there, when you see people going in there, 30, 40 cars, they're all going to kill their child. It starts to wet. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to do something. And I want to go rescue children, And so you feel equipped, right? Because you've had the experience and you've heard the facts. And so we want, we're not just like, hey, come to an abortion center. Everybody, let's go. We're like, no, we want to educate your church. We want your church to hear what God's word says about life and through your pastor, hear the tragic truth of abortion, the stats, and then we want to educate them the whole time they're there. I do a lot of educating data and all that for your people. So when they leave Love Life, they could go out into their community and save a baby at work, in the neighborhood, at college, in a dorm. Your roommate says, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, I'm going to go get an abortion. You can stop them because you're equipped. And so we do it's a journey so that your people aren't just like shocked, they're prepared, been educated, they've prayed, and now they're going on this local mission trip to go push back the darkness. And then they can do that wherever they are.
I love that. So while you're talking, I have a question, and so we're going to rabbit trail for a second, if that's okay.
Okay.
So you mentioned, you see 30, 40 cars going into this place to have an abortion. One of the things that I've heard is that most of what happens at Planned Parenthood is like STD stuff or passive. Yeah. So can you shed some light on
That's
those facilities?
That's a lie. The one in Raleigh that we go to is abortion only.
Okay.
So there's 4 abortion centers in the Triangle. We go to the one on Drake Circle called A Woman's Choice. There's one on Jones Franklin. All they do is abortions. Then the Chapel Hill Planned Parenthood. Now they do everything, because they're public. Our tax dollars fund them. $500 million of tax money goes to Planned Parenthood. They do everything. So they'll do your STDs or they do vasectomies. That's a new thing they added. They do trans meds for minors. They do abortions and then give the pill. But the majority of what they do, I don't know the percentage, but it's really high. It's probably in the 90s is abortion. And we know they're having abortions because they wear a green sticker. So we know how many people are getting abortions there. Wow. And then in Durham, there sometimes can be anywhere from 5 to 15 abortion clients a week. So that's the smallest amount. But no, it's a lie. And a lot of the pro-choicers are like, well, you'll take away women's health care, if you take away Planned Parenthood. There are pregnancy centers. There are health centers that are free. Mm-hmm. There's Medicaid. You go to the doctor for free. Like, it is just a lie. So, but they love to say that one.
Yeah, see, that's one I've heard so many times, and I mean, either way, I'm like, well, I don't care, shut it down. There's still Christian facilities, but but I think that's a good concern. People bring that up. That's a good thing to address.
Yeah, they'll say it's health care, and we're like, well, 2 people go in and 1 comes out. How's that health care?
Right.
You're killing somebody. That's not health care, and I don't want that health care.
Right. If there's a hospital, they'd be like, what? That's your rate? I mean, I'm going to find somewhere else.
Yeah, so it's a lie. There's Neighbor Health. That's a Christian organization in Raleigh. You can get free health care there. There's just plenty of places. Durham Rescue Mission has a free health clinic. There's just and all the pregnancy centers will see moms for health concerns. And then we have all these pro-life doctors that will see people for free if they can't afford it.
So I'm going to get back to what we were talking about. So Love Life, you lead churches through 4 different steps. So it's hear, pray, go, and connect. Mm-hmm. Can you walk us through those steps? Yeah.
So here we have an adoption week, which you guys started on Sunday. Churches do it differently, but let's go with the A+ version. We want your pastor to speak on life And then we want to come and give a 15-minute presentation on the tragic truth of abortion. We go through the realities of what's happening, and then we go through what God has done through mobilizing his people, and then we call people to action. We want you to sign up. Okay, so that usually happens on Sunday prior to the walk. On Wednesday, we want you to pray and fast. So we want you to pick one meal, like that you are going to pray and fast for the end of abortion. You're going to skip a meal and you're going to pray. And you're also going to prepare your heart for going to the abortion center and actually doing the walk. Now, if you can't make it to the walk, we still want you to pray and fast because that's an important part of preparation for the walk. And God saves lives on Wednesdays. When God's people are fasting and praying on Wednesdays, we see abortion centers close or the clients going down. So we know it works when all of us are praying. Then we want you to come and walk with us. That is your local mission trip, your prayer walk. We're activating you. It's a peaceful prayer walk with other churches. We have 7 coming this Saturday. I'm hoping for about 400 people. And so that's where we walk. We peacefully prayer walk. And then I'm going to take you through a journey of like educating you on every part of the issue. And then you're going to pray for saves. Then the connection piece is done at the end of the prayer walk where I'm going to ask you, what does God, want you to do with this experience? Come back and walk with us, be a mentor, sidewalks, whatever God is calling them to do, or to get post-abortive healing, because we have a lot of inquiries. So people come who've had abortions and we want them to get healed.
Yeah.
So that's the process. It's a one time of a year commitment. So when I go to a pastor, I'm like, one time a year, will you adopt a week? Put it during a week where you don't have a bunch of stuff going on. You can just focus your people on the issue of abortion. Now, some of our churches do it 4 times a year. You can do it. We have a church that talks about life once a month. They're hardcore. And so you can, talk about the issue and mobilize people all throughout the year, but we ask for just like one time a year.
Yeah.
That's the process.
So for people that are attending the walk, what's expected of them?
To come and pray. We're going to take you through a journey. We meet off-site at a parking lot, talk about what we're doing for about 20 minutes. You'll hear a testimony of a mom who's chosen life, or a foster care story, or an inspiring story. The pastor does a brief pastor charge, like, why are we here? Why is it important for Christians to be involved in the pro-life world? And like, why is it important that we actually came here today? We pray, and then I give instructions, then we walk. It's about a 10-minute walk. We have rides for the elderly, and we want you to bring your children. So it's a family-friendly event. And the reason why we want families to come is because your children will hear about the abortion issue from YouTube, TikTok, or the school bus. And so we want to get them first.
That's right.
We want your children to learn about the abortion issue under the umbrella of their church, the pastor, and their family, right? Mom and dad.
Yeah.
So that means you're going to have a conversation with your children, right, before you come. And then you'll have to debrief. But what I've seen over the years is the kids that come, especially my daughter, she started when she was 8, and now she's 13. My kids are so pro-life.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
and
good.
they are unmovable, and that's what we want. We want to raise up our children to be immovable. They want the end of abortion. They understand how tragic it is, and they're going to do something. They're not going to sit on the sidelines. And my kids and the kids that have been coming for years, they are like that. They are fired up for Jesus, and they're fired up to end abortion.
I think that also makes a statement. I mean, you're going to this facility to potentially kill a child, and then you see these children out there.
Yes.
It makes you. I know for me, now I'm a father. My son is going to be 7 months old next week.
Oh, congratulations.
And, thank you.
You got to bring him. We'll put him in a Love Life shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I know that when I see these articles that are all pro-abortion, and I see this stuff in the news, I mean, it used to bother me. I've always been pro-life and passionately so, but now it's just different. It really hits a nerve when I see it. It's like sometimes it just really emotionally, I can't hear it and not get stirred up.
Well, you probably had your first ultrasound 5 or 6 weeks. You saw the heartbeat, right? Then you get one 12 weeks to find out like the gender and all that. So when you see like this whole idea that it's not a baby is absurd.
Right.
It's absurd. that's why when people say it's not a baby, I'm like, where has your head be in the sand? Your head has to be in the sand. Go ahead and acknowledge it's a baby and you're fine with abortion. You know what I mean?
Right.
But acknowledge it's a baby. Stop saying it's a clump of cells or it's not human or, I mean, you just look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, because it's so absurd. So you've seen these ultrasounds, you see the heartbeat, you see the little baby, you know, the little bean, right? Kidney bean, you see the heart beating, you know, it's a person.
Yeah.
So we don't just kill people because we don't want them. Like, it's just wrong.
I think about that verse where he said, before you're even in your mom's womb, I had plans for you.
Yes.
God has plans for that child.
Yep. And for that family.
Yeah.
Like, we include the parents because I do think pro-life over the years, it's, it can get all about the baby because we want to save the child from being killed.
Right.
But you're actually saving the entire family because when you get an abortion, it destroys your soul. Like, you commit murder.
Yeah.
It's not light. It's not, it's different.
If it doesn't affect you, I think that there's a problem.
It changes the course of your life forever.
Yeah.
And so that's what we say to the moms. Like, they tell you in there, you'll forget. You will never forget. Now, through Christ, we're healed, right? And God uses it. But you still live with it, and you'll never forget. So it's a lie that you just get over it. So, when you have your own children, it becomes really real.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a little baby boy or a little baby girl. How could somebody kill them? Kill the child.
So, emotionally, when you're standing outside of that facility on these love walks, and you know what's going on inside, what's that like?
For the first 2 years that I did this job, I was I would have nightmares before I went. Like, I was almost like tormented, because of the reality of what is happening here. It can consume your life because it's all I would think about, because it's so serious, And think about being like a life-saving surgeon. Do you ever get a break when you're a life-saving surgeon? Like, you're the top brain surgeon
Right.
in Duke? Like, do you literally go on vacation? I'm like, can you literally not think about what's happening, that somebody could die if y'all don't go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's big. And it took me about 2 years because I did this full time, and we used to walk every weekend. So I was there every single weekend, and I would be on the sidewalks once a week. But over time, I just had to kind of get thick skin, which I'm kind of immune now to whatever they say to me, like especially the pro boards. They can say the most horrific things to me, and it like literally bounces off. I don't receive it at all. But it is tough. And it's a hard job. And we actually moved to once a month just because city directors were getting so burned out and like dropping out, and they wanted to keep us. So once a
Gotcha.
month helps me get a break from like the realities of seeing it. But it is very dark. It's very dark down there. And when I do sidewalk outreach, which I actually love because I've helped save babies. Yeah. God used me to change it. Like, I hold babies that I help save, which is incredible. Like,
Can you share a recent story of that?
Yeah. So just before I talk about that, like, just the intense spiritual warfare is worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Now, it's hard. It's tough. You have to have a lot of self-control, which I have to pray on my way to the abortion center. Like, Lord, help me not sin, because I will say stuff. I'm a little fiery. And I'll tell my husband some of the stuff I say. He's like, you shouldn't have said that. I'm like, well, I said it, But in the midst of that, you're watching people kill their children. Like, it's so serious.
Yeah.
And you want to say things to stop them. But it really is a God thing. So I'm involved kind of high level, not just boots on the ground. So I get a lot of different opportunities to help save babies through online referrals, phone calls, text. But my first save on the actual sidewalks was just amazing. It was my first day I ever did sidewalk outreach. So I actually am mostly in charge of the prayer walks and then mobilizing the church and talking with pastors. So I used to not do sidewalk outreach. I have a whole team of volunteers who do that. But we were really short-staffed, and it was winter, and a lot of my older folks couldn't go out that typically go out, so they really needed me. So I go on a Tuesday. I had done the training, but I'd never, ever, like, interacted with somebody. And I walk up to the circle, and there's a girl right there. She came out to talk to a street preacher that I work with, and he said, "Oh, Beth, Mama T, she needs help." So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to say?" Well, I just prayed, "Lord, help me." And just the words came out. We talked through everything. We talked through all her fears. She was crying. She didn't want to do it, but her boyfriend was forcing her. And we just talked through everything. And she's like, okay, she had had her ultrasound. She was holding it. And she had had her consultation. So she was scheduled 72 hours later. I got her information, and I just, we parted ways, and I was not sure that she had saved the baby. She was going to do it. I thought she might come back. So I just prayed. I got all my Love Life people praying. I was like, please pray for Mama T. Like, I could tell it wasn't a solid life choice, but she was definitely feeling that conviction. She did say she had heard about God. I shared the gospel with her. I even, because I'm a closer, I'm like, "Do you believe in Jesus?" Like, I'm like, share the gospel, and I'm like, "Do you believe?" And she's like, "I'm just not sure," So I was trying to get that, like, solidified yes, and to Jesus and to life. But she left that day, and I had her information, and I texted her all these videos of moms who had chosen life. I told her, I was like, "We'll help you. We are with you." She was living in Fayetteville at the time, and I was like, "I have a church in Fayetteville. They will walk with you. They will love on you." And I didn't hear from her. And I just thought, oh my gosh, she went back, And so she ghosted me for, I think it was about 6 weeks. Wow. So I didn't know. But every time I thought of her, I prayed. I was like, "Lord, I just pray you save that baby." And after 6 weeks, she texted me, "Can you get me a free ultrasound?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Yes." So I work with all the pregnancy centers in the area. We found one that would take her right away. She got an ultrasound, and she was like, "I saw the baby." Again, she was really early. I think she was like 5 or 6 weeks. So she saw the baby, at 11 weeks. And she was like, "I'm going to keep him." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, praise God." And then when then she started sending me pictures of him when he was born. And then I got to hold him.
Wow.
I got to hold him. And he's on, those revolving frames in your house where you can put pictures of your kids. Mm-hmm. And he's my Love Life baby. So he's on all my pictures of my kids. And he feels, when I got to hold him, I think it was last summer, I got to hold him. I just like wept, like, oh my gosh, God used me to save this baby. And now he's in my arms, and he's so beautiful and so adorable. And I would literally adopt him. I was like, "Give me this child. I want him to live with me." She's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Okay, if you ever want to live with us, you can," because he feels like my own baby. So it really is just amazing to be a part of that. So the sidewalks is so powerful,
Yeah, I mean, I know so many of friends, people that I know, that could have been their story.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been, and I think it's just so important to realize, like, it's not just saving a baby. It's not just saving, preventing an abortion. Like, it's an actual life.
Yes.
That person is going to grow up to be a part of society, to be friends of people that it's important to realize, like, there's a face to that child.
And we want them to become part of the church. It's very important. Now, she hasn't joined. She's back in Fayetteville, and she's married to the dad now. And I'm like, "I have a mentor for you. I want you to come to church." Because your life doesn't change without God, the gospel. Like, and so then you get in the same kind of predicament. You're in a bad relationship. You need Jesus. You need counseling. You need the body of Christ, or you will repeat.
Right.
So that is key for us, and whenever we text, I'm like, did you connect with the mentor yet? She's like, "Not yet." I'm like, "I need you to go with the mentor because I want baby Cashton to be a Christian. I want them to be Christians. I want them to have Christian marriage and, stop the bad behaviors and the toxic relationship. Like, I want them to know Christ, and I want Cashton to be a Christian." I'm like, because think of his story. Think of what he could do for Christ,
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So it's the long game.
Yeah.
We want them in the church, discipled, loved on, and we want them to do great things for Christ.
Yeah. Wow. So you mentioned in that case, I think it was the boyfriend was trying to take her down. Can you talk a little bit about coercion?
Yes. So coercion. So the latest stat is that 83% of women are coerced into abortion, either by the father or the grandma, whoever is living with them. So they get kicked out of their living situation, they're in toxic relationships. So 83% of women are coerced or pressured to abort. So when they choose life, it's a big deal because they've done something very courageous and they've gone
Yeah.
against all this pressure. And there's a huge pressure campaign. So we are compassionate with the women. We do understand they're being pressured, but we also just assure them, hey, we're here for you. We're the church. We're going to walk with you. We love you. We want to support you. We want you to become part of the body of Christ. And that's how you'll overcome. So the man issue is a huge deal. When you see the women coming in, the boyfriend, sometimes husband, mostly boyfriend, are usually in the passenger seat. They're participating in the abortion by paying and pressuring the girl.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of reaching out to the men, and a lot of my sidewalk team members are men because we want them reaching out to those dads who are sitting in the parking lot, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee from Starbucks while their baby's being killed. So we're constantly saying, we have men out there, and I talk to the men too, but primarily men saying, hey, Dad, come out here, come over, just talk to us, and we say men are supposed to be protector and providers, and we have a mentor who will help you be a godly man. We will help you with a job, whatever it is, because a lot of them say, I just can't afford another kid. And I'm like, hey, well, we have all these Christian businesses that will hire you, give you a great wage. So
Yeah.
then you can make enough money. Like, there's nothing the church cannot do. So we really focus on men. Our ministry is focused on men. If 83% are being pressured by the dad, imagine if those 83% men were godly men and took responsibility, married the girl, parented the baby.
Do you find that men will change their minds?
Yes. Yes. I have worked with men, and we have plenty of sidewalk team members that have petitioned with the dad and they go try to save the baby out there. Oh, yeah. They have a huge influence. So when they're just hanging out, last time I was there 2 weeks ago, the whole time, I could see this dad. So Stephen and I tag teamed him the entire time he was sitting out there for like 2.5 hours, like full court press. Dad, do you understand what you're doing? This is a child. This is your own flesh and blood. Go in there and save your baby. It's not too late,
Wow.
Yeah.
What about dads that don't want this to happen? Do you see that happens?
Yes, that is very heartbreaking. So I've worked with 2 dads personally who did not want their girlfriend to get the abortion. And the first guy I ever counseled was heartbreaking. I mean, he's sobbing on the phone. She did it anyways. There's nothing you can do. As the father, other than speak, you can't call the police, even though it's half your child, it's half your DNA. You can't get a lawyer to stop them. The women can go in there and kill their baby against their will. So it is very sad. And then most men, they say, well, it's up to you. Okay, in an unplanned pregnancy, they say it's up to the woman. Well, then it puts all the pressure on her.
Right.
Whatever you want. Well, we say, stop saying that. No, you say, this is my baby, and I want this baby. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to marry you. We're going to parent this baby. So
Fatherhood it's something that our society has just kind of lost touch with.
yes.
Like for me, I think I jokingly told you this on the phone, but it almost felt like I wanted to be a dad more than I wanted to be a husband, because
Yeah.
I've always craved that, and I don't think that's something that's said or vocalized here. We kind of have relegated the position of parenthood to just the mom.
Yeah.
Dad's away working or whatever. It's a woman's issue, is what
Yes.
society says, but it's not. That's that child. I could not imagine being in that position where if my wife had wanted to have to abort my child, like and not just being so helpless. I can't imagine.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a story about that. So it is so powerful for men. Like, men are the backbone of our society. And I won't go into the rabbit trail of the Me Too movement, but what happened during the Me Too movement emasculated men and gave them no voice. And you might remember when women made accusations, the men were fired, even though they could,
Yeah.
It was women, whatever they said was true, and whatever a man said was not true. So that movement, it really silenced men. It silenced them because they just got conditioned to not say anything so they don't get canceled or fired or whatever. I believe that's when it started. It's probably further back than that, but that, to me, that Me Too movement, like, always believe women, all women know everything. Men know nothing, men are dumb. Seriously, it affected men in families. And so you have so much influence as a stable, godly man, huge influence. And we want that influence in love life. But I had 5 months ago, I had a young man call me. His friend had been to a Love Life event. He didn't know anything about Love Life. His friend had been to a Love Life event, and his girlfriend got pregnant. He grew up in a Christian home. She was a baby Christian. She had just gotten saved, okay? They were going to a church in this area, okay? Well, she was abortion determined. She was in college. They were 19.
Yeah.
Well, she was like, I want a degree. I'm in college. I'm not having a baby. And they were going to get married anyways because they loved each other and had been together a while. But she was like, no, I want an abortion. And he was like, no. Like, this is my baby. Like, we're not having an abortion. And she's like, I am. Well, they had already been to a pregnancy center, and she had seen the baby, and she was still like, I can't. Like, we'll do it later. We'll do it after college. We'll have a family. And he's like, no, we're not killing this baby. Like, this is my baby. Well, she was just like, well, I'm doing it, Well, he calls me. He's like, and he's like telling me the whole story. He is frantic. He was like, what do I do? What do I do? She's going to go abort my baby. And I was like, wow. I was so impressed with him. He was 19. I was like, praise God. This man is like going to fight for his baby every step of the way. So I started counseling him. The first thing I said, and this is very, very important, is tell your parents. They are Christians. They will understand because it was in secret. Now, when abortion is kept secret, nobody knows you're going to do it, right? So you keep it really secretive. It's between the two of you, and it will destroy your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so like 98% of relationships end after an abortion. It's like extreme. It destroys in a relationship. So I'm telling Daddy I'm like, you need to go tell your parents right now. Get off the phone with me. Go call your parents. And he did. He was like, okay. So he goes and calls his parents. He tells them. Of course, they were like, we understand. We are disappointed, but we understand, and we want to help you. And they said, we'll buy a house for y'all. Y'all get married, we'll buy a house for you.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, go parents. So anyways, well, then it got out, more people know. Well, then there's more pressure on her not to abort because it's public. Now some people would say, well, you shamed her. Yeah. No, we have to bring sin out of darkness into the light. So then I worked with him, texted, emailed, called, worked, and it was a fight every step of the way. And when he finally called, she was about 7 weeks. So I talked with him a couple weeks, and then he said, will you meet with her? So I meet with her. She agreed to meet with me, which was awesome. So I sat with her at Starbucks for 2.5 hours, and I went through all the scripture. I said, you are a Christian, right? And she's like, yeah. I was like, look at these scriptures. This is what God says about life. And this is what God says about murder.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's a life? Yes. Then you will be committing murder. And I said, and it will destroy your relationship. You will not marry this person. He will not be able to marry you after you killed his child. when he said no. Like, it will ruin everything, all your plans. I said, you can choose life, and you guys go ahead and get married at 19, and then you're going to, in 9 months, you're going to hold a precious baby, and you're going to be married. And then you start your life, and you can go back and get a degree whenever you want.
Yeah.
And at the end of 2.5 hours, I said, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm undecided. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
I was like, I thought I did a really great presentation. Yeah. So, and she was tracking with me the whole time. She was like, nodding and, and then we went through all her fears and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, Daddy I calls me after we left and he talked to her and he said, oh my gosh, she wants to have an abortion even more after talking to you. I was like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I pulled out all the stops, And I said, you know what you need to do? You need to pray. You need to get on your knees and pray. And I said, and then you need to go buy a ring and propose to her tonight. And he said, okay. And he did it. He literally went and bought a ring.
Wow.
And anyways, he texted me a couple days. Oh, I think it was 2 days later. I was in church. It was Sunday morning, and I was tracking my phone because I was waiting for his text. And he texted, she's going to keep the baby. Wow. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And then 2 weeks ago, my friend was like, what's the update on Daddy I? 'Cause I have a pretty big Facebook following, and I put all this stuff. It's all anonymous, but I want people to know, like, your prayers mattered. Right. We had 1,000 people praying for this mom. 1,000 people on my Facebook page were praying. And so it was probably more than that. It was 1,000 based on all the stuff that I could see. But they wanted an update. And so I texted him. I was like, how are things going? He said, things are going great. And I said, did you get married? And he said, we got married this week.
Wow.
So now that baby was saved by Dad. God did it through all the prayers but everything I said to her didn't really work. God changed her heart through Dad.
Right.
And now I think she's 7 months now. So next month, or next couple months, he'll be holding the child that he saved.
See, that's awesome.
It's powerful.
I think it'd be important to also clarify for people that might be listening, that's not manipulation.
Nope.
The way that you go about it, it's by letting families know.
Right.
It adds some pressure, but it's not manipulation. What it is it's adding accountability.
Yes.
Because what would happen is the guilt and condemnation. I mean, you think that they feel guilty before they tell their parents. What about after the abortion?
Yes. It ruins everything. And I told her, I was like, you think he'll marry you in 4 years? It's not going to happen. He won't be able to look at you. Because, imagine you're desperately wanting your baby and your wife, your girlfriend goes and kills your baby. Like, it would ruin all of it. I was
Absolutely.
like, it will ruin all of it. Everything you've dreamed of will be over.
Yeah.
Go get married, have the baby, and then go have a big party. Have a wedding. You can have a wedding later.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do a big party. You can do whatever you want now, but make it right. And that was my thing with Daddy. I was like, you need to make it right. You went outside of the guardrails of God's word. You can make it right. Get back in. That you got to marry her. Repent, obviously. Ask for forgiveness, and then marry her, and then have this baby, and have a family.
Yeah. There's also, I've heard this somewhere. Look, I'm not the best with statistics always, but I've heard, and maybe you could shed some light on it. Once you've had an abortion, it's a good bit harder after that to have children.
Yeah, I don't have this medical stat on that, but I do hear a lot of women that come to my walks and they had abortions when they were 18 and they've never been able to have children. Yeah. So I know it happens. I haven't looked that one up, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
And that's the other lie. Like, you can have children when you're ready.
Right.
Well, this might be your only child.
Yeah.
But you don't know that when you're 18.
Or this decision might prevent future children.
Yes. There is scar tissue and all sorts of stuff, but and there are botched abortions. There are people that bleed out and all sorts of horrible.
Yeah.
It's a major surgery, Or you're taking a pill before 12 weeks. You can take a pill, but it's a major thing. You can 1 in 10 women have bad reaction to the abortion pill. And the baby certainly has one because they're killed.
All right.
So, yeah, it's a very risky thing to be doing with your body.
So yesterday when we spoke, you shared one other story. Would you like to share that one with us?
Yeah. So this was a coercion case of a minor. So our sidewalk teams are there every day that it's open. Every day the abortion center is open, we try to have 3 Love Life people. So one of our sidewalk people in Chapel Hill, Julie, was there. And she met a mom. She was 17 years old, coming out of the abortion center, and she took our Hope is Here booklet. She was there for a consultation with her mother because she's a minor. So she took our Hope is Here booklet. We put our name on the back, whoever's out there. So Julie put her name and her phone number. Julie's been out there 6 years, and she's never had somebody call until Mama N.
Wow.
So Mama N calls her. She's the minor. And she says, my mom is making me get an abortion. This was last Wednesday. My mom is making me get an abortion on Saturday at 9:30 at Chapel Hill, and I do not want to do it. And she's just crying and crying. So Julie lives in Chapel Hill, so we connected Mama N with one of our sidewalk/mentors in Sanford, because that's where she was. So she was driving from Sanford. So Stacy gets involved, and she meets the mom, Mama N, out for coffee, and they talk like 3 hours. And she was basically like, you've got to tell your mom you don't want the abortion. You've got to be strong, got to be courageous. You've got to fight for this baby. So she says, okay. So Stacy and Julie are keeping in touch with Mama N. They put on our WhatsApp chat, hey, we need to pray for this mom. I put it on my Facebook page, hey, we have a coercion case, and we need prayer for this mama. I need everybody praying. Well, as soon as I posted that, I had 2 lawyers call me, and they were like, coercion is a crime. This mom cannot make her get an abortion. Well, I had never kind of had this experience, so I was like, oh, okay. What does that mean? Well, they have these standard letters like, hey, that you can send to the parent, like you can't coerce your child into an abortion, okay? So all the wheels start turning, right? Like all of God's people are praying. Then you have God's Christian lawyers coming to me with free services. You know, we will write this letter. I'm like, great, give me the letter in case we need it. So then I gave the letter to Stacy, who gave it to Mama N. Okay, so like this, all these pieces are, all these things are coming together. So then I go on vacation, which I was, you know how you tell the Lord, like, I'm not going to think about my job. I'm only going to think about you and just relax and not think about anything.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that was not happening. But I was keeping in touch with Stacy, and she was like, things are going good. Mama N said she's not doing it. So I wake up at the beach, 8:30 on Saturday morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I text Stacy, because this is the day of the abortion, 9:30 at Chapel Hill. And I'm like, is everything still good? And she said, no. She calls me. She's frantic. She's like, everything is not good. Mama N has been forced into an Uber by her mother, you know, grandma of the baby, unborn baby. She's crying, she's screaming, and she is frantic. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to call the lawyer, okay? Because we have to get the lawyer to call Planned Parenthood. Well, in order for him to call, Mama N has to retain him, okay, with her name, birth date, and everything, because he can't just call and be like, this mom's coming, okay? So all of this is happening. Like 8:30 a.m., appointments at 9:30. We're all texting. We're all trying. Okay, so Mama N gives Richard, this attorney that I had just met that past Wednesday from my Facebook post, her information, okay? Well, he starts calling Planned Parenthood because we were going to fax. We were going to do the full court press. So he starts calling. It's busy. So Stacy's like, Richard's calling, but it's busy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're like, okay, Lord, you got to help. So he's calling, then Stacy's calling. Like, we're all like, we got to get through to them to tell them they're not, we'll sue them. Okay. So it's like pins and needles. Like, I have so much adrenaline rush from this job. I'm probably going to die early from all the adrenaline spikes. But I'm like coaching Stacy, the mentor, like, we got to give this to the Lord. We're doing what we can. It's up to God to stop it. So anyways, Richard gets through to the call center for Planned Parenthood, which is not in the building, call center. So he says, I represent Mama N. you are not allowed to perform this abortion or I will sue you. Well, she says, I'm just a call center person. He said, I don't care. He said, you get this message to the right people or I'm going to sue you too. I'm going to sue every person in the building and everybody in the call center. Okay, don't mess with us. Okay, right. So the message gets through. Yeah. Okay, so Mama N is inside the abortion center. At this time, but 2 of my sidewalk counselors, Julie and John, drove to Chapel Hill to reach out from the outside too, because she's already in the building. So they're there ready to go to help. So anyways, okay, it started at 8:30. At 11:10, Mama N texts Stacy. She said, I just had a great conversation with my mom and the manager. We got our money back and I'm leaving.
Wow.
Yeah. So now grandma of baby is very mad and kicked her out. But we already have, right. places for her to go. And the boyfriend actually wanted the baby. So she's living with him until we can get her into a ministry that helps with young moms. We're hoping she'll move into a Christian Life Home, which is a ministry here in Raleigh. So anyways, it's just like it took all of us. It took all of us praying. It took all the strategy. It took lawyers. It took mentors. And I was thinking on the way over here, I was like, gosh, God could have taken care of that like way before 9:30. Yeah. But he didn't. Last minute, that baby was literally saved by Richard threatening to sue them. Wow. Like, it was awesome. Yeah. So he and I talked yesterday to debrief over everything because I was like, okay, now I'm vacationing after the baby was saved. I was like, now I'm vacationing. Please, nobody call me. I need like 24 hours where I don't think about love life. And so I got back and got caught up with him. Oh, and you know what the other cool thing was is while Julie and John were at that Planned Parenthood, another family came out. They had the green sticker, so we knew they were there for abortion. They came out and said, we're not going to do it. So we actually had 2 saves.
Wow.
That day.
I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that story, I went home and told my wife about that. That's just so cool. Just it feels like something in like a movie.
I know. And that's why I've been posting all my stories, and anybody can Facebook friend me. It's my own personal page, but I've started to post all the stories because I was kind of like, I get to experience all of these answers to prayer. Like, I get to have my soul just filled up with so much joy, but all these other people don't know about it. And so I started to do like these little journal videos of, what's going on, what we need to pray for. And then I'll do like a long video, like telling the whole story. And people just love it. They're like, everywhere I go now, people are like, thank you for the video. I just watched it. Like, thank you for keeping us up to date. Because, everybody who prays was part of the save. The 1,000 people that prayed for Daddy I was probably more, it was like 2,000 for Mama N. Every prayer was heard by God. They were a part of the story.
That's incredible.
So it's not just Love Life Saves Children. It's all of us. I need all of y'all praying, and then all the gifts come forward. And now Richard and I are going to work on coercion cases for the future. Now we have a plan, and then we're a national organization, so he's going to help all of the cities with coercion.
Wow.
Yeah, God put it all together. Yeah.
So I guess we can kind of start bringing this interview to a close.
Yeah.
But I do have another question. How has your life changed since you've gotten involved with Love Life?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned earlier, spiritually, it has been very challenging. And so my relationship with God, I would say, is very strong. Like, I really trust God. And I have given my whole life to him with holding nothing back. And that's just powerful. Yeah. Because when you get into this, you can get canceled, you can get doxxed. People can want to kill me. People on the other side literally hate people like me. Hatred. And if you want to kill babies, you'll kill a living person. Like, what stops you from killing a 50-year-old or an elderly person? I'll ask the pro-abortion people, like, would you kill grandma because she's in a nursing home? And they're like, yeah.
Well, we saw that with Charlie Kirk. He was a big advocate for pro-life.
Yeah.
And people celebrating his death.
Yes. Yes. So people hate me, and so I have to have, in order to do this job, I have to stay very connected with God. So it makes me, we're supposed to do devotion each morning. If I don't go and spend time with the Lord, I cannot do this job.
Yeah.
I have to be with the Lord, pray, because what I'm doing is so intense. It's so intense, and the devil hates it. So it has really grown my faith. And then I get to experience so much joy. Like my soul, I just think about, sometimes I'll journal, like, I'm so thankful I did this. Like, and when I tell people I love my job, and then I tell them what I do, like, I go to abortion centers. They're like, are you like not right? Like, how do you love this? I have so much joy in my life. Like, God blesses me. I get to see children be saved. I get to work with women who are hurting. I get to experience it all. And it's such a joy. I literally cannot imagine doing anything else. Like, I'm like, I get on the verge of burnout a little bit sometimes. And I'm just like, man, I can't do this one more minute. And then I think, I could never not do this until we end abortion.
Yeah.
I want to end abortion, then I'll have coffee on the back porch with my husband again. It's just so amazing what God does. It's so encouraging, inspiring. I get to hold children that I helped. They were going to be killed, and I get to hold them, and it's amazing.
Would you say that your understanding of compassion has changed?
A little bit. I would say our ministry, because it's the last, we're front lines, right? Yeah. You don't have as much time to get in long conversations with people. And so we're a little more direct. Okay. With like, hey, this is a baby. God loves you. God loves this baby. We want to help you. We're more direct. And so that might feel less compassionate because I'm like getting down to the last minute here. Definitely when I work with the women outside of the abortion center, when there's time to breathe, I understand. Like, I get it. I worked with a woman whose husband is a addict, and he abuses her when she's pregnant. Well, that's really hard for me to say, don't abort, where he could hit her. She could go and hurt her, So you do really have to, like, I understand how hard it is, but there is no reason for abortion ever.
Right.
So we try to mitigate that situation, get dad counseling, get dad, off of drugs, whatever. We'll pay. Love Life people will pay for anything. Like, I'll pay to put him in a treatment center so he doesn't beat his wife. Like, I'll do it, ever it takes. So I am compassionate, but you can't be too compassionate because then you allow sin.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? You've got to be firm, And when I do post in the pro-aborts comments, sometimes I'll do a post that's public, and the pro-aborts are like, you're so mean, you're so hypocritical, you're so judgmental. And it's like, telling the truth is not mean.
Right.
So we do have to tell the truth. So I do think in the pro-life world, you can get too focused on compassion, like really focused on, well, they can't help it. Well, they're in a hard spot. Well, yes, they are, but there's never, ever a reason to abort.
Right.
So there's other options.
Yeah, that's a good way of framing that up. I like that. The fact that you guys have so many resources for people, I think that's about as compassionate as you can get.
Yes.
Because the world doesn't really offer that. But I mean, you're holding children years after they're born. Basically welcoming them into your family.
Yes.
That's such a tremendous thing. So, I guess in closing, we have our prayer walk this Saturday, and people will be able to listen to this. Well past that, they'll be able to join us on future prayer walks.
Yes.
What would you say to the person that is kind of on the fence about getting involved?
Yeah. Just come and see. Come and try it. Give it a try. Just come. Your pastor leaders are going to be there. We have plenty of people looking out for our crowd. We hire the Raleigh Police Department just to be around so that if there's anything that happens, we've got somebody right there helping us. All they do is focus on our group. So we have our own police officer. Like, just come and see. It's going to be a really great prayer walk. We have a lot of young adults coming. We have a lot of churches coming. Just come and see. Just give us a chance. You won't regret it. And the last thing I want to say is we want men to come. I know we talked about this yesterday, but the pro-abortion world has blocked men out by my body, my choice. It's a woman's choice. All of these messages sent to men, and they believe it. Men believe they don't have a place in the pro-life world, but we want men. I heard a stat from another podcast that 54% of men now are pro-life. Men are more pro-life than women now, okay? That means they're on the sidelines. Where are they? We want all the pro-life men to come because you can come and pray, and then you can get activated. You can help on sidewalks. You can be a prayer partner. You can help with a dad. You can mentor a dad. You can get trained with us and reach out to a dad and say, I'll mentor you.
Yeah.
Come over and talk to me. Save your baby. We'll help you. So we want to activate the men that have been silenced, who have maybe been passive. Or they've always been told you can't really get involved because this is a woman's thing. So that is why our strategy is to go after pastor first. Pastor, leaders, people, right?
Yeah.
Bring them all. So I would just say give us a chance and come. Come as a family, come as a married couple, come as a single, come as a young adult, a college, or a student. Everybody is welcome to come because every Christian can do something about abortion because every Christian can pray.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, I think that we kind of work it up in our heads that this is a big thing, a big commitment. It's going to be crazy and just chaos everywhere. Really, honestly, after the first time I went on one of these walks, I left. I'm like, that was it.
Yeah.
like we just showed up and we prayed, but it wasn't it wasn't that intense.
It can be though.
Yeah, but even still, like most of the intensity, like it wasn't. Like we weren't arguing with anybody.
Right.
We weren't
There's
having
no
to fight with
interactions.
anybody. It was safe.
Yeah.
Like you said, the cops are there.
Yeah. So sign up. There's a commitment form that Cameron emailed out, and that we can text out. It's a commitment form because when we actually do RSVP, we actually will show up. If we just say it verbally, it goes down to 30% chance that you'll show up. But if you commit today, you'll get all the details. It's this Saturday, August 8th from 9 to 11. It's a brief moment in time. You can still do all your Saturday stuff. You just got to push it back. Even if you don't commit and you decide to come, just show up.
Yeah.
You don't have to commit to come, but we do like to know and plan a little bit for how many people are going to be there.
I'll make sure to put a link to that
Yes.
to that link that Cameron sent out. I'll make sure to put that in
Yeah.
the description. Then I'll also put some links to your ministry and that really will highlight just how much care that you guys offer
Yeah.
to people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Well, thank you for having me. Your church, I think, was probably one of the first churches that partnered with Love Life. And that's a big deal because we started, when I took over, we had 10 churches that were really good partners. And in 5 years, we've grown from 10 to 100.
wow.
So God has done a
love
lot.
that.
It's amazing. But you guys were some of the first. And so I have a special place in my heart because you guys, Pastor Mitch and Cameron gave me a chance, gave Love Life a chance. And so you guys are an amazing church with so many faithful people.